es amor. Cada noche más te extraño, cada día sin ti me hace daño. Sabes que mereces mejor, lo que sientes por ella no es amor. Por mucho que digas, somos más que amigos. Y el tiempo se acaba en 4, 3, 2, 1.
99.9 WEFM. WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so we are back with you for another commentary segment here on today's Activated Mornings program. In studio, you have Dianna, Cain, and myself, Roleza Samuel. And every Monday morning, we have the lovely General Thompson.
Oh, thank you very much. I've become lovely.
Yeah. I slept. You know how to go sleep over the weekend.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna take that back sometime.
No.
Dianna, would
You don't want to be called lovely?
But
If you
know
must have
something?
set up.
I've never. I feel so
Distinguished.
good this morning for the first time.
So honored, so honorable.
Roleza said that you think I'm lovely too.
Yes, we both think so.
Okay, well, I'll tell you something. I'm in awe of this. I've got to bask in this feeling. Say it again. Say it one more time.
Listen, try to push it now. Just try to push it. This is the thing when you give a man a compliment. They don't just push it too much.
I'm not gonna abuse it. Give a guy's compliments a little bit.
I gave it to you.
I'm taking this to other men as well. Guys, I wash hands with all of you.
How are you, Doc? How was your weekend?
Yeah, I'm fine. The weekend was nice, simple.
No funerals, no nothing, right?
No, I did a lot of gardening.
Okay.
That's the thing. I did a lot of gardening, and I had a number of places to go to, but I did some gardening. That's the important thing.
What do you have in your garden, sir? What do you have in your garden?
No, remember
Anything medicinal?
You know. Yes, as a matter of fact, as you know, as I told you already, I'm involved in a project where I am trying to recap. The curator of the botanical gardens, one of the first curators, Anderson. He was like the second curator. He catalogued a lot of the plants that the Caribs used for medicine, that slaves used for medicine, that were brought in from England, and that he also went to Barbados and so. And I have the honor given by a professor at the University of Winchester in England. She's given me the list to go through. And I've been going through, but at the same time, as you know, at the mangrove, I have been trying to grow and conserve a lot of these medicinal plants that have since gone out. I mean, many of you may not know about Kungolala and DKPE. And I could go down in terms of an understanding of what some of these plants did for people in those ages. They may not have had the double-blind placebo-controlled studies done to show that they worked. But for many people, they did work in an age when modern medicine was not available. So as I go back through my grandfathers and great-grandfathers and slavery, it's important for me. So yes, at the mangrove, I do have medicinal plants. And I'm proud of that. I don't have any medicinal cannabis, but I have medicinal plants that I think are also important from our ancestors' point of view. Many of us have forgotten. And so I'm coming up to the point where we'll be having an opening of the mango. I'm going to invite you, Roleza, I will invite you, Dianna, but I'll tell you when that date is. And hopefully you will see what medicinal really means. You know, aspirin. Aspirin came from the bark of the willow tree. Malaria medication, quinine, came from the cinchona plant that we still have in Trinidad and South America. I'm looking for a plant. We haven't found it. And you know, I'm not simply talking body me iron, part of man life and seed on the leaf. You know, I'm going way beyond that because I'm a medical doctor. And that these things are important to me, and I want to share them with the rest of the world.
I'm very glad to hear that. Very glad to hear a doctor talking about the natural medicine. It's pleasing to hear.
Well, I'll tell you something. This is something I've been doing for a long time. I mean, it doesn't mean that I am all in.
Yeah.
There are some natural medicines that may not work as well as they're thought to work. And there may be some other modern medicines that are better. But there are some older medications that are really substantially better. And then when it comes to nutrition, the prevention of diseases. Let's not take over the program this morning. You know what I mean?
As you were there talking, I remember coming across a facility that, because you're talking about like plants being, well, not quite extinct, but what was used in the past. So for me, before they go extinct. So I was remembering that there's a seed vault located in one of the Norwegian islands. So, you know, I'm there wondering do we have, it's as if I think though some years ago, was it the breadfruit, I think? We placed something, I believe it's in the same seed vault. So I'm wondering, like, these other plants that you're talking about, could they also be placed there so that they don't go extinct, or we'll be able to get our hands on some of these seeds just in case?
Well, let's do better than that.
But you know what I'm talking about,
I understand
right?
what you're talking about. And many, you know, like for cannabis, we have a seed bank. You know what I mean? Seed bank, seed vault, and so. But what about their use now? In current use? Yes, put it all for future use in 50 years, 60 years, when this stuff is forgotten. But I'm saying that we may not need to forget about it because, you know, the cost of some new medication is unbelievably high. The companies won't make back their money so quickly, Dianna, you know? And I've seen this. I've seen patients, you won't give them some of these new medication and they can't afford it. There's no insurance, anything like that. And basically, there may be some other stuff that could do maybe as good a job in terms of helping them in some way. And remember, the different parts of the world, in Africa, I've had an opportunity to go to Nigeria. I've got to go to Kenya. I've gone to Egypt. I studied for 3 months in Egypt, parasitology, you know, and you know, one of the medication people were trying to say could be used for COVID. I basically studied that medication. Just that when I got back to the United States, nobody had parasites. You know what I mean? So it's fascinating, the subject. We could use them now.
All right.
I agree with you with seed banks.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's just quickly head into something after this time. I kind of wonder if we would have enough time to delve into it.
Let's go.
Your good friend calling though.
Yeah, but I would want him to call back later.
When you're okay.
I want him to call back later because I want to say something for 8:45. I want to touch on him.
All right. So the caller who's calling, call back at 8:45. All right. So let's just quickly delve into this, right? We only have like 8 minutes. So we're talking about the struggles to retain the highly skilled in the Caribbean, and we're reading this from Loop News, all right? So the Caribbean continues to be affected by the highest level of brain drain in the world, and the traditional approaches that the region has generally implemented to retain its high-skilled human resources have literally failed to produce the intended results. All right, so it is being said that commencing around the 1960s, high-skilled migration to the US, Canada, and UK from English-speaking Caribbean has reflected the highest percentages compared with any other regions globally. All right, so it goes on to talk about our school-age children and our working-age population are declining in all countries. The elderly age group 60 years and over, they are the fastest growing segment of our population, so compounding our challenges to provide sustainable social protection system, which for us would be our NIS, right? So the speaker says the task for us, therefore, is how to make migration, high-skill migration, work for the development of the countries of the Caribbean. The policy options and programmatic initiatives we recommend and implement going forward may serve as a turning point for ensuring the sustainable development of our region. All right. Now, I know that this is a topic that would come up ever so often, all right, in terms of the brain drain that is happening within the Caribbean. But I wonder if at this point in time, if leaders are actually putting some focus on this particular discussion. We noted that there is the declining birth rate, and we have an older and aging population, as the article indicated. And if we only have a minimum workforce, and it's obviously would not be all of the highly skilled persons within this particular workforce are looking to leave the country that they reside in or even the region. What does this mean for us here within the Caribbean or even within a Vincentian context, right? Now, we know that persons tend to leave for various reasons, especially those who are, let's say, tertiary trained, etc. They tend to leave. One of the main reasons has to do with either finances, in terms of not being paid what they think they deserve to be paid or what they should be paid, or they are just not as challenged in the way that they would like to be within their own local context. And there are times when I wonder, well, as I was thinking on the topic, this one of the things that I appreciated with COVID was that situation of us working from home, where you do not have to be physically residing in a particular country or residing in a particular country or going into your office itself, your physical office for you to be working, right? So remote working has led to there being an open space internationally for persons to be able to work. So is it a case where maybe for some of these persons and on an individual level, maybe that they can tap into avenues of finding remote work, right? So that they do not, if it's just a matter of pay, that they do not have to physically leave the countries or leave the region in order to find better opportunities, whether to be more challenged or for to earn a higher salary.
I'm not sure I really agree with the article.
You don't?
I think the article has some merit. But when you think about it, I remember my parents, one of them was a teacher. We went to England, and then he returned as an accountant. We have to bring into context the ability of the region to train itself. And yes, we've had for several decades now the concept of TechVoc. We've had the concept of people going to UE. Those numbers have significantly increased to what had happened before. But the ability to absorb people seem to have been limited. So I do think that people do travel and go abroad, but I think a lot of people have been traveling in order to acquire these skills. You know what I mean? They have been going to faraway places, Russia, in the case of St. Vincent, where people have gone for scholarship, Azerbaijan, Mexico, and so forth, to acquire those skills. Have people returned? I think we've lost people to the region. I think we have lost nurses. There's a substantial amount of recruitment of nurses, but that's been a policy as it is, and let eagles spread their wings. And we've certainly lost teachers and so forth. But I think that there is also a flow in, and the article also speaks of it does a double take. The aging population, as people living longer, for years, I remember I used to be a member of the Planned Parenthood Association, trying to go around to stop people from getting pregnant. We did this for decades, trying to reduce the birth rate and so forth. Now we're complaining the birth rate. We were successful. The birth rate has
Which means
dropped.
you did a very effective job.
Dianna has one child. Roleza has one on the way.
Zero.
Or so, but I have four, you know what I mean? But the thing is that we do these double takes and so forth. And
But you see my thing?
I see some little holes in the article. The premise of it is correct, but I see some big holes in it because I feel the vast majority of people over the decades have had to travel beyond the region to Canada, England, and other places to get their education. It isn't that they got their skills necessarily in the region. Now, if they talk about skills of a carpenter working with as an apprentice and developing those skills as a mason and a plumber developing those, I'm not really, I don't know how I'm sure the articles categorize what highly skilled is, but I have a suspicion that they may be leaving out some of the things that I consider as being skilled, and they have their own definition as being highly skilled. So if somebody's trained in aeronautical engineering, they may not find a job.
Quote-unquote professionals.
They may not find a job in the area. If somebody, I'm seeing these kind of articles. If somebody's trained as a geotechnical engineer, they may not necessarily find that job in the area in truth. But them leaving and getting married, and that's the other factor, getting married somewhere else, meeting somebody else somewhere else. I think there's a draw out in that regard.
All right, Dianna, anything?
No.
Okay, so the thing though, Doc, is that I recognize that we do have a lot of highly trained individuals, right? Because we have access to education here, university education, etc., and beyond. A lot of scholarships are there. But what it is that I recognize has been the challenge is that when persons come back, right? When they come back, they might find themselves fitting in a sense, but then they become restless. And because they become restless due to either finances are not being challenged enough, then we are seeing persons leaving SVG and sometimes leaving the region. And then we have to wonder, in a few years to come, is this something that we really and truly, we need to tackle it from now on, because in a few years to come, we are going to be faced with a serious situation.
There's another factor. What's happened now in relation to the United States, because people used to travel to England. Then there was a travel to Canada. Then things have been shifted to the United States. You know what I mean? And the United States now seem to be closed off because of the new regime there. Will that open up again? Can somebody say, boy, I traveled to the United States to get a job, and you go down to the visa thing, I fed up of St. Vincent, I want to get a job in the United States. Many technical people go to the United States, they start off as watchmen, they start off in many ways.
All right, so we're going to have to pick that up another time, as I believe that we have courts calling now.